Well, good afternoon, and thank you for asking me to comment on this very important development. Well, I think that the 90 billion euro loan to Ukraine is signalling several things. First of all, it is enough to actually support Ukraine into 2026 next year and 2027. It's showing a unity of support, and it's showing, despite there being divisions within the EU about support for Ukraine, nonetheless, there is some unity of support for Ukraine going forward. So I think it's a valuable step, but we are very much still seeing a situation where the EU is holding back from using sanctioned or frozen Russian assets in order to support Ukraine, supporting Ukraine militarily, but also in terms of reconstruction work. Now, I think that we are seeing a certain amount of disharmony amongst those states that are automatically predisposed to Russia, and we're talking about Hungary, Slovakia, and Czechia in particular, um, and uh, and those that are not. And I think that as Russia seems to be, particularly in the wake of the conversations with President Trump, seems to be on the verge of getting some of what it wishes. I think that we're going to see Russian influence, or at least a tacit acceptance of Russia's stance on Ukraine from a number of Central and Eastern European countries, particularly those that were behind the Iron Curtain during the Cold War, but also former Soviet republics. So I think that we are going to see divisions within the EU over how the money is used, the amount of money is used, and indeed to what extent they actually provide finances themselves. And I think that in many ways, one of the things that's holding back the EU from using frozen Russian assets is the fact that vast swathes of the EU are very concerned. They do not want to poke the Russian bear. They do not want to be part of any decision-making process that will actually exacerbate the situation, which will annoy a President Putin who may get some of what he wants in Ukraine. And I think really what could force Russia's hand is the fact that if it sees its frozen assets being used against it, it could mean that it's actually got some sense that there is some kind of no end game here, that really has nothing to actually lose by continuing its aggression in Ukraine, getting what it wants, and indeed then using some kind of confidence it's imbued with in the wake of some success in Ukraine to actually improve its influence across part of Europe, over which it formerly had a great deal of influence before the end of the Cold War.